Hi, this is Leanne from Global Media Network's Business Tips for today. Let's take a look at how the market performed yesterday. We see that the bourse failed to sustain the somewhat positive momentum witnessed yesterday, with both indices closing in red. Investor interest on blue chip were minimal in comparison to the day before, while selling pressure continued on selected counters, resulting in the indices falling short of expectations. The benchmark index shed 32.97 points to close at 4,832, whilst the more liquid MPI shed 12.88 points to close at 4,315. The total turnover for the day was 348 million rupees. Market heavyweight and premier blue chip John Deere Holdings emerged as the top contributor, pumping a healthy 51 million towards the day's turnover. The counter continued to witness selling pressures as it traded its quantities between 187 rupees and 184 rupees. The counter saw active trading at 185 levels and closed at 184.60, shedding 0.49% for the day. Looking at business news for today, we have, despite policy reforms towards private sector development, the private sector investment is constrained by several factors which need urgent corrective actions by strengthening institutional setup. Emphasized the 2011 annual report from the Ministry of Finance, whose secretary is Dr. P.V. Jayasundaram. The focus in the bilateral discussions which took place on Wednesday between the External Affairs Minister, Professor G.L. Pires, and Mr. K. Shanmugam, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Singapore, at the Ministry of External Affairs in Colombo, was on the expanded trade and economic relationship between the two countries. On the other hand, we have UNP MP Ravi Karunanaike has written to a committee on public enterprise chairman D.E.W. Gunsekara, requesting him to summon officials of the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Colombo Stock Exchange over the fiasco in capital markets and boost investor confidence. Then we see that the annual inflation rate accelerated to a 9-month level of 7% in May from a year earlier, well above analyst expectations and up from 6.1% in April. Now, government data showed this on Thursday. May's inflation rate was the highest since August 2011. Then we see that the central bank yesterday denied the Reuters report, which said the target of the rupee has been shifted to 132 levels from the previous 125 rupees. Then we see SoftLogic Holdings post-tax profit up. So that's group after tax profit was up by 9.6% to 1.06 billion rupees, whilst pre-tax profit improved by 51.72% to 1.6 billion. However, the bottom line was down by 40% to 493.5 million rupees in comparison to 829 million rupees in the financial year of 2011. And we see Sri Lanka's environmental minister has said liberalized trade could mitigate climate change, helping spread energy saving technologies and enabling countries facing scarcities to import over their requirements. We see consumer prices in Sri Lanka's capital, Colombo, rose 7% in May from a year earlier. And then we also see that Sri Lanka plans to bid for another international sporting event shortly, an official said, months after spending hundreds of millions rupees on a failed bid to win the 2018 Commonwealth Games. There was the Industry and Commerce Minister Rishad Badiuddin pitched for a comprehensive economic partnership agreement with Singapore, whilst the latter's foreign minister declared Sri Lanka, with peace in place, was poised to achieve its full potential. We see that Sri Lanka's petroleum import bill during the first quarter of this year has gone up by 43.4% year on year to incur a sum of $1.4 billion. This is compared to $996.7 million the country spent during the same quarter last year. Meanwhile, during March this year, the country's petroleum import bill has gone up by 16.4% year on year, incurring a bill of 408.6%. And this is compared to $351 million spent during March 2011. The central bank says the increased expenditure on petroleum imports during March 2012 came as a result of the high average crude oil import price. Accordingly, a barrel of crude oil in the world market has gone up by $125.39 from $111.31 per barrel in March 2011. This has also resulted in the expenditure on imports of refined petroleum products too increasing by around 18% as a result of higher prices. The Sri Lanka opens a newly built sports hostel in Colombo, which will provide accommodation for sportsmen and women coming from outstation areas. The Ministry of Sports says the new facility is able to provide accommodation for nearly 140 sportsmen and women. The hostel has space to accommodate 20 sports officials, and the 244 million rupee worth much-needed facility also consists of a fully equipped indoor stadium. Then we also have the DFCC Vardhana Bank has announced the appointment of Marina Tharmaratnam as an independent non-executive director of the bank's board effective from the 26th of May and has received the approval from the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Tharmaratnam is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka and a member of the Chartered Institute of Marketing in the UK. She's also held many top senior managerial positions as a number of high-profile companies in Sri Lanka, including Eagle Insurance Limited, DFCC Bank, and she has functioned as a CEO and director of Union Assurance PLC from 2003 to 2009 and has continued as a member of Union Assurance Board of Directors until December 2010. And lastly, we have the Sri Lanka's second player in the petroleum market, the Indian Oil Corporation, owned Lanka Indian Oil Corporation, has increased the price of diesel by 2 rupees a litre and the price of super diesel by 1 rupee a litre. The changes will be effective from midnight yesterday, which is the 31st of May 2012. Now, LIOC has made a request from the Petroleum Industries Ministry to raise fuel prices, seeking a price hike of 10 rupees on a litre of petrol and 13 rupees on a litre of diesel to minimize the losses from oil sales at prices effective from last month, the state-run TV reported. Now, LIOC has said that the loss incurred last month alone from the sale of oil was in the region of 360 million rupees. The state-owned petroleum corporation raised fuel prices in February, and LIOC also increased the prices of petrol and diesel to match up the CPC prices. Now, with that, I round up the news for today. Thank you very much for listening, and see you again tomorrow.